Okay, this is part 2 of our Fortuner all build, and for part 2 what we'll be discussing is the front mount intercooler and the alcohol injection system that we're putting and the blow-off valve. So let's get started with the most obvious and biggest mod on part 2, which is the intercooler. This 2.5 Fortuner is one of the last ones with the VNT turbo, so it basically has the same layout as a 3-liter Fortuner with the intercooler there on top with the hood scoop. And this is the stock intercooler right here, and we're gonna get rid of this one, which we already removed, and we'll be replacing it with a front mount intercooler here of Well, as you can see, it's easily twice the size of this one. If you go on the internet, there's an endless debate about which is better, top mount versus front mount, and this is particularly true in the Subaru market. And I have a very good answer that ends the debate right then and there, which nobody seems to care or understand. The front mount is the best intercooler setup even for Subarus, because the Subaru World Rally team uses a front mount intercooler and not a top mount. Enough said. And this is the best racing Subaru on the planet. No racing Subaru in the world uses a top mount intercooler. I hope that puts it to the debate. So what works for the Subaru will work also for this Toyota of the top mount versus the front mount. And I don't think you need a engineering degree to know that this will be colder than that, because obviously this sits further away from the engine. It's not there on top where the engine's radiating heat, and this is when the car moves, this is in the pathway of the moving air directly here in front. There's no cooler air that you can get. As far as efficiency goes, the bigger is the better when it comes to intercooler, but what we're most interested in is the surface area here that faces the wind. But if you really want to compute intercoolers, you have to compute the entire volume. So it's your usual length times width times height. So we'll measure the stock one first. $13, $11, $2. So 13 by 11 by 2. So 286 cubic inches for this one. Now we measure our front mount one. 22, 2.5, 9. So 22 by 2.5 by 9. 495, so easily times 2 the volume of this one. And I'd like to take this time to dispel a few myths about having a bigger intercooler and by consequence having a bigger radiator. So most people think that when you install a bigger intercooler or a bigger radiator is that your temperatures will magically drop. So let's take the radiator. Your normal operating temperature for an engine is 95 degrees. Installing a big high capacity radiator will not make your engine temperature go down to 70 or 80 degrees. No, it will still remain at 90 to 95 degrees. It doesn't work that way. The same way for the intercooler is that if we take both of these, put it on the same car, and when we start it and you measure the temperature from the inlet to the outlet, for the first 3 minutes, they're going to be exactly the same. Normal temps that come out of the turbocharger is 90 to 95 degrees. And once it passes through this intercooler, it becomes 60 to 70 degrees. The same thing with this one. It comes in at 90, goes out at 60 to 70. It does not drop down to 50. It does not drop down to 40. But why the bigger intercooler works is because, well, once again, the aforementioned, it's away from the heat and there's more air that passes through here to cool it. So what happens is that the temperature differential is more sustained with the bigger intercooler. So it's 90 to 60. This one, once it heats up, will be from 90 to maybe 80, maybe 85. So there's not much cooling going on anymore. Once this heats up, once the capacity is done, that's it. There's no more cooling per se. But with this one, you can maintain that 90 to 60 degrees a lot longer, especially if the car is moving. Another way of looking at it is like installing, it's like air conditioner. You have the same room, you install a big air conditioner and a small air conditioner. When you start it up and you set both to 20 degrees, yes, it will be 20 degrees. But obviously, over the long run, the little aircon will work a lot harder and will not be as efficient as the big aircon. So there you go. In terms of adding power, if the temperature is the same, there is no additional power to be had. Let's remember, engines are a matter of temperature. So if the outlet here is 60 degrees, the outlet here is 60 degrees, they both will make the exact same power. But once it starts to heat up and becomes 85 or equal the temperature of the turbo outlet, then the power drops. So a bigger intercooler in essence helps you maintain your maximum power longer. It does not add any extra horsepower per se. Okay, with that out of the way, we'll focus into something that does add cooling and add horsepower, which is alcohol injection. Right, you might be wondering what this red tank here is for. This is for our alcohol injection system. This is where we put the alcohol and water mixture, and by alcohol we mean alcohol, like Green Cross alcohol. And water, we mean water from the faucet water, Nawasa juice. So the concept is pretty simple. Alcohol and water mixture goes in here, goes through the high pressure pump here. This is the high pressure pump that comes with the devil's own tip. And then it gets injected here just before the throttle. So when that mixture comes out, it automatically becomes vapor or gas. People keep asking, you're gonna inject water into the engine, hindi ba delikado yun? Actually, no. Water liquid is dangerous. Water vapor is not. And if you look at all around you here right now, you are actually breathing in water vapor. There's water vapor in the air all the time, every single time. So water in the form of a gas is not dangerous. You learned this all back in elementary, the three phases of water, solid, liquid, and gas. It should not come as a surprise anymore. So once you inject this alcohol water mixture into the incoming intake stream, so this 60-degree air temperature will suddenly drop down to around 40, maybe 38 degrees. Now where it's injected is this point here, and it's no coincidence why it's here, because this is the stock temperature sensor of the car. So once this sprays, this temp sensor becomes cold, and it instructs the ECU to say that, hey, there's colder air coming in, let's put in a little bit more fuel. So aside from injecting water, alcohol, you actually get more fuel also, and this thing cools to another 20-25 degrees less. The reason why it does, very simple. Pag ikaw may sakit, and then when you have lagnat, what do? You put alcohol on your skin becomes cooler. It's exactly the same concept as alcohol injection here on the car. It makes the incoming air colder. So the result is about 20-25 horses more. And just to round off the part 2 of our build, we have the ever-loving blow-off valve. This one adds absolutely 0 horsepower. None, nada, wala, as in 0. All it does is give you that sound. Nothing more, nothing less. Why do people do it? Well, I guess they watch too many Fast and the Furious videos back in the day. But yes, diesels can be installed a blow-off valve, and no, it's not just basically installing a blow-off valve and then it will work. No. The diesel blow-off valve has a specific kit, and it also has a couple of other things, namely a solenoid and a control box to trigger it when you let off the throttle. And one of the things that the customer asked me before he installed it is, can you install a blow-off valve? I said, yes, we can. On a diesel, yes, we can. Bakit sinasabi sa akin ng ibang tao hindi pwede? Well, very simple. Sinasabi hindi pwede kasi hindi nila ang paano gawin. That's it. Especially if you ask your friends too. And so please don't ask any of your friends for car advice or car modification advice. They are not experts. They will never be experts. They are just simply paying customers like you. And don't take the time to learn any of this. And stay away also from Facebook groups and ask for suggestions, because it is also one of the dumbest place to ask for advice when it comes to engine modification. Sure, you can ask for advice on, let me look at your rims, let me look at your tires. Great, that will work. Let me see your body kit. That will work too. But when it comes to specifically engines like this, none of you guys are engineers. None of you guys work on engines, and definitely none of you guys do this for a living. So stay away from Facebook groups, from your friends, from your barkada, from the kapitbahay mechanical when asking about modifications about your engine. You ask me and I'll answer. I'll be as short and direct.